Hip hop and R&B. And TRP, Parks Live on your family of the music. It's 12:30. Yeah, my guys are in the studio. We're about to talk. What's the motion today?
This house believes that Africa should produce generic AIDS drugs.
What? What? Please introduce yourselves, gentlemen. Welcome to the real world.
Hey, it's good to be here. My name's Logan. I'm from Malaysia, but I live in South Korea now.
Okay.
It's -5 degrees, and I'm happy to be here where it's sunny and warm.
So y'all love the sun, man.
I love the sun.
I'm tired of the sun. I've been burning for 26 years.
You should come to Seoul where it's -5, man.
-5. Nice, man. Welcome to the studio, dog.
Thanks,
Your
man.
first time in Africa?
Second time in Africa. First time Botswana.
Yep. Where were you before?
5 years ago, I was in Cape Town.
Oh, you're in Kaapstad. That's Europe. That's Europe in Africa.
Okay, first time in Africa.
Welcome to it, man. Welcome to it.
Yeah, my name is Justice. Logan just got here. We just went to take him from the airport. Now we're so excited to have him. He's one of the most experienced trainers we have at this tournament. He's been to so many tournaments in the world, and we're glad to have him at the PODC here in Botswana. I'm going to give over to Kevin to start the debate. But all that I can say is the PODC is starting on Monday. Countries have started arriving with people from all over the world, and it's going to be happening at UB. Kevin, over to you.
This is today, yeah?
Yeah, people are arriving today, tomorrow, and Monday. Monday is official function, and we're going to have events around town. We're going to have 20 debates going on simultaneously at UB. We're going to have so many events, and we're going to debate so many issues that people would be interested in coming to see.
Yeah, last week's winner, Kevin, what's up? How you doing?
The champ is back. I'm doing fantastic. Today the motion is this concept that Africa should produce generic AIDS drugs. Now, just to make it clear for everyone out there, the generic drugs is basically counterfeit drugs. And Logan is going to sit here and justify that we should start buying and pushing counterfeit drugs into our general hospitals and so forth. Now, there's a few contentions about that, and one is at a very initial stage, the legality of doing such a thing. We think that every company, such as the medical companies like SmithKline Beecham, and all those companies that make AIDS drugs, actually have a right and copyright protection against people making fake and counterfeit drugs. So we think that just because there's a need, or because there's some sort of circumstance or scenario, I don't think it's ever justified to break the law in that way and say that people are dying, so we should do that. It's illegal.
Well, some part of it. I'll first clear this up. It's not really counterfeit pirated drugs. Companies produce it using they don't give the credits to the other company. They don't get royalty, but it isn't counterfeit. Companies pretty successfully do this in India. They do this in Brazil. They do this in Thailand. It works. Even the legality is kind of vague. The WTO says under the situation of national emergency, you can forget about TRIPS and you can forget about intellectual property and do what's right. So whether or not it's a national emergency or those things, we'll have to clear up. But basically, it's not clear cut black and white. But basically, I think the major issue is this gets drugs out to people when they need these drugs, and people can continue living with the disease like they can in the developed world. The only reason why they can't in the developing or not developed yet world is because these things cost too much.
I see Kevin agreeing with you.
Well, no, I'm not actually agreeing with him. I'm agreeing with him on the fact that basically this is an infringement of copyright law. Whenever you say that we can break the law because one circumstance or the other comes, you're creating a situation whereby people will just come up with excuses time and again to say that now this is another one of those legitimate reasons where we can break the law. It is never right to copyright or counterfeit other people's products. And it is bad as a matter of capitalism. It is bad as a matter of investment. And you'll end up actually bringing down the companies that do the research to this and that produce the original drugs because they'll have unfair competition from people making cheap drugs. Furthermore, there's the issue of quality, the actual quality of the products. Because they're not from the sources that created them, the sources that put behind the medical research that went into them, we think that there's always a sort of gray area where we can't entirely be absolutely sure that the quality of these drugs is correct. Mr. Logan talks about India and China and Thailand. Now, we know so much about the quality of products from India, China, and Thailand. The last thing that we want to do is that risk in the medical industry. It's already bad enough in the motor vehicle industry and the clothing companies where it rips apart after 3 months you buy the shirt.
Number one, if this is, it's pretty funny.
Yeah, it is.
Number one, if we're going to break a law, I'd say to save people's lives, a pretty good reason to break a law. I'd break a law to save someone's life. I'd say, so if what you're worried about is infringing copyright, Kevin, I think those lines, that's words on paper, right? And we're not stealing money away from these companies because they can't sell those drugs in these regions anyway. This isn't their market. This doesn't affect their profit line. This doesn't affect their quality R&D. They make their money in the developed world. They just don't want, people to get things for free. And we think that's an issue. So secondly, on this notion of quality, we say maybe even the big guys are not making it. There may be some issues with packaging, or you don't get the free gift that comes with it, or it's not like shrink wrapped. But the drugs work. They work because people take them. The facts are this, that the number of people that can successfully live with AIDS and HIV, people living with AIDS and HIV, in places like Brazil and India where they've ignored this regulation, have increased. And that's a fact.
What?
Okay, let me make this comeback. First of all, Mr. Logan is trying to mix up instances of morality and get them intertwined in the law. Now, lawyers, first thing they will always try and tell you is that there's a fine and separate and distinct line between morality and the law. We appreciate that people are dying, and that's a moral dilemma for us. But it is never justified under any circumstances, even moral circumstances, to break the law. It's an admirable position to take. It's quite ideal. But the reality of it is that we will have so many moral instances where we will try and justify breaking the law. So we think it's never right to break the law because of morality. Second of all, we think that this whole idea is a very superficial and simplistic way of dealing with the AIDS crisis. You can't just say people are dying of AIDS and people are contracting AIDS, therefore let's get cheaper drugs to heal the problem or deal with it. We think that it's very simplistic. We think we need to actually be dealing more with how to tackle the root causes of the problem and so forth, instead of simply just getting this facade of cheap drugs. It doesn't help. People will still get AIDS, and people are still having access to these drugs, but they're not taking them properly, so they're dying. So you need to sort out those sorts of problems before you put these superficial policies up front.
Amen to that.
Ding, 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 ding.
Amen, the man said. You heard that?
That's the first round of this Yaruna FM Live the Music debate mode. What? It's 12:38 coming your way. Look out for vibrations in a track called African. Right here on Yaruna FM Live the Music. We're also going to be talking to